The hardest walk leads to the greatest destination. And what's our destination, brothers? The kingdom, man. The arms of Yahushua, man. The scriptures tell us in the Apocrypha, there's a day coming where Yahushua will place crowns upon the heads of the brothers that maintain their faith in him, that believed in him. He shall place crowns upon their heads. Ezra saw that, man. Our great forefather Ezra saw that in the vision. We want to be part of that group, man. We want to be one of those individuals receiving that crown from Yahushua. You know how great that is? I couldn't begin to possibly explain that in words. Words can't even explain the joy of that. Okay?
And when the chief shepherd shall appear, ye shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away.
And what is our destiny? To be in this truth. To be in this truth and to make it to the end. As it is written, to finish the work. Like Yahushua said, I have finished the work. You know? The Apostle Paul said the same thing. Henceforth I know there's a crown of righteousness that is laid up for me. Okay, that is our destiny.
Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with him. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutations to the whole elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the whole elect, the believers and listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. All right, and what I want to get into today, is going to the book of Obadiah, breaking down this chapter, which is a message, all right, to Edom, and there's you have this push, okay, from the other side, all right, to push confusion, amongst the church, amongst the body, amongst the ministry. Well, the Lord has sent, all right, has raised up his men, okay, for the sake of what? Edification, for the defense of the gospel, okay, and to bring understanding, all right, to those sincere, all right, those who are serious-minded, when it comes to salvation, okay, those that have a true expectation in a righteous kingdom to come, all right, and the destruction of this current kingdom, okay. So we're going to continue to push, edification through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, the water Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua for, all right, this truth, okay, the water for spiritual leadership, and we're going to continue to push forward, man. So, let's go here to Edom, all right, because it's going, and this emphasis on Edom, okay. The spirit has, emphasis on Esau, Edom, okay, which amongst all the heathen, okay, Esau, Edom is the one that's isolated the most. Okay, he's the one whom the Lord, all right, stated that he hated. Okay, and we'll get into that in another lesson. But let's go here. It says Edom will be humble. Okay, because there's, all right, judgment. Okay, that's getting ready to come to the earth, and Esau is going to get the worst, man. Okay, and of Israel, there's a remnant that's going to be delivered. All right, during Esau's judgment, the judgment of these heathens and 2/3 of our people. Okay, and that's the gist of it, man. Okay, so reading on in the book of Obadiah 1:1, it said the vision of Obadiah. All right, thus said the Lord power concerning Edom. It says, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. So there will be a spirit in the earth, that will cause, these heathens to rise up, okay, for war, okay? And this is why you have the prophecy of a third world's war, okay? As the scriptures speak about, 3 world wars, and 2 already has happened, okay? And there's prophecy of a third one, okay? And then this third world's war, this will be the end of Esau, Edom's, okay, rulership, okay? And this man, all right, before this war, he will be greatly despised. When you keep reading, said, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Okay, because Esau is a wicked, greedy, ambitious, treacherous ruler. Okay, and he will force these heathens, okay, to become hostile with him, man. Even other Edomite nations, okay, will come against, the centerpiece, okay, of America. I mean, of Esau's empire, which is America, man. Okay, so this is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 5. It says, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he's a proud man. And this man is drunk off his own philosophy. He has everyone else, drunken. What the scriptures speak, how the nations have drunken of the golden cup of Babylon and are mad. Okay, because this way is not beneficial. This American first, okay, Edomite superiority, okay, government is not beneficial to these nations, man. To where they're getting the short end of the stick, to where Esau, he benefits off their resources. Okay, he sets up these puppet governments, keep these nations in debt. Okay, the common people, okay, are impoverished and suffer. All right, then if they take on American doctrine, they're, become degenerate. Okay, everything's become, decadent. You see, and this man has gotten the earth drunk. All right, off capitalism, degeneracy, lewdness, okay, war, okay, and he's proud behind it. You see, neither keep it at home, okay, he's everywhere. He's constantly interfering with, the affairs of other governments, and, he's constantly, doing coups. You just look up, the coups done by the CIA, man, it's in the hundreds, okay, when you really go into it. Okay, so he's always, just running some type of interference. No one can just chill with this nigga, you know. So he never keep it at home. All right, this has been the most wicked rulership the earth has seen. Okay, and this nigga has the technology and resources to just be a demon in the earth, man. Okay, it says who enlarges his desire is hell, and his death and cannot be satisfied, but gathering to him all nations and heaping unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, man? Because this man has pretty much enslaved the world to debt. All right, he has turned the earth to warehouse, okay, for these major corporations, man. And the elites of these governments, have sold out. The elites of these other nations have sold out to them. Okay, but what we're seeing is there's an uproar. The Lord is putting a thought in their mind to rebel. Okay, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and they taunt in proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases, which is not his. How long will this man, be able to just plunder, steal, loot, okay, destroy in the earth, man? How long unto him that laid himself with thick clay? Shall they not, all right, which is debt, all right, because this whole system is just based off debt. When people pay, when these nations, because this system, okay, is set up to where, this fake wealth, the American dollar, is the standard of currency. It's the world reserve currency, man. Okay, And the more you deal with the dollar, the more you deal with debt. Okay, when you deal with the American dollar, you're just taking on American debt. Okay, and you're just passing debt around. Okay, that's why when uh, the American currency is okay crash, okay, everyone's gonna be in debt. You know, it's just gonna be one big ball of debt. You see, and that's the leverage that these bankers have had. Okay, on these governments is by uh, loaning all these major, all right, what you call the IMF issuing all these major loans, okay, with crazy interest. It puts these countries in debt to this system, man. Okay, and what we're finna see is a revolt. Okay, as they, these countries are down with this new system, but they're gonna they don't want to end up in this new system in the same position they were in the old system. Okay, so they're gonna fight. All right, which is gonna be this third world war. It says, "Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, which is a spoil, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land of the city, and all that dwell therein." Man, so we're finna see, all right, America be a spoil, okay, to these nations, man. Okay, and America represents, the muscle, okay, of this Edomite empire, okay, and we're finna see the hammer of the earth, okay, destroyed, and this whole beast system, all right, is going to be taken down. Okay, this beast system will not survive this third world war. Okay, none of these systems of government, all right, because it's going to usher in what, the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay, so going back to Obadiah, there's plenty more precepts about these heathens, okay, rising up, okay, against the whore, okay. But this Obadiah 1 and 3, it said, "The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is on high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?" All right, because within this Esau's rulership, he has exalted himself. He's highly exalted. Okay, these devils have built up these cities, like to caves, going back into Petra. Okay, so these devils, they have this high and mighty, spirit. Then they have, these high, skyscrapers, and these devils, overlooking, the earth. Okay, just this proud spirit, just as an eagle, which is a high flying bird. Okay, it says thou, it says, "Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down," said the Lord. Yeah, because a nest also goes into a uh, military talk, okay, for housing weapons. And see, this devil, his rulership extends into the heavens. He has an air force, a space force, okay, satellites, space systems, weapons in space. Okay, so this devil has been able to build himself up like no other heathen ever had. No heathen had military in the atmosphere. Okay, so this man has propped himself up even in the atmosphere, man. And even he has those satellites, just like an eagle is able to look down. Those birds are known for their keen vision. All right, so this devil, was able to, set his technology on high and just look down on everyone, man. Okay, he said, "If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Will they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, will they not leave some grapes?" Okay, because America's finna be spoiled. America finna be cleaned out. You see, if a robber come, or people that would, all right, glean the grapes, they would leave some. We had a system where the grape gatherers, they would leave some for the poor. Okay, or robbers, if robbers came, they would just steal as much as they can take. Okay, but the way America is going to get cut off is going to be completely cleaned out with nothing. Okay, when Yahweh Shai comes, as scripture speak about what Yahweh Shai coming, what is a thief in the night. Okay, matter of fact, let's get a few precepts on that. Okay, because Yahweh Shai is coming as a thief in the night. It's going to clean this place out completely, man. Okay, 2 Peter 3. Okay, between those nukes and Yahweh Shai, this place is going to be completely cleaned out. Okay, so this is 2 Peter 3:10 said, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. You see that? Well, the scripture say robbers come to thee, will they not have left? No, Yahweh Shai coming as a thief in the night to clear this bitch out, man. Okay, it says, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, the nukes, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. Okay, so this place is going to be completely, all right, wiped out with fire. Okay, there's not going to be one building, one apartment, one car. Okay, you see, one stadium, nothing is going to be left. It's going to be completely wiped out. Okay, by the ultimate thief in the night, which is Yahweh Shai. Okay, so those nukes and Yahweh Shai are coming to make America desolate, man. Okay, and that's the end of Esau's empire. Okay, because America has been Esau's strength in the earth. He's been able to bully the earth, mainly through America, NATO. Okay, but this empire is finna get wiped out. It's finna get cleaned out. Even you go to Jeremiah 50. Okay, Jeremiah 50 and 2, it says, declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Babel is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces, and her idols, okay, and her idols are confounded. Her images, okay, are broken in pieces. Okay, so what we're seeing happen first, all right, is this man's witchcraft, okay, is being broken down. Okay, because this is how this man runs the earth through enchantments. You see, but the Lord has raised up the spirit of the prophets, okay, to combat, okay, this devil's enchantments on the left hand side. Okay, and then when Yahweh Shai returns, okay, Jeremiah 51:2 says, and we'll send. I started once. It does say the Lord, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. Okay, because America has been what? The chief place of rebellion. Okay, this anti-Messiah system where it's headed by who? Esau Edom. Okay, and the core place, okay, of anti-Messiah, okay, behaviors here in America, man, Babylon the Great. Okay, so as this place, has gotten rebellion to a certain point, the Lord is raising up, okay, a destruction for this place, man. The Lord has raised up. You see, the Lord's going to get active when it comes to judgment, man. Okay, and you Edomites, all right, you're finna get the bulk of the Lord's wrath in the earth, man. Okay, and against you Americans, all right, the Lord's finna send a destroying wind. You see, it says, and we'll send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. Okay, you're gonna empty this bitch out, man. Okay, gonna empty out the whore. Okay, not one stone will be upon another. It said, for in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about, man. There's some nukes coming from everywhere, and there's some chariots invading this bitch, with fire, man. Okay, so going back to the book of Obadiah, all right, chapter 1. It's the book of Obadiah, chapter 1, all right. In verse 5, it says, if these came to thee robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the great gatherers, all right, the great gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Okay, because one of this man's strengths was he was able to rule. All right, going to the elites, you know, and how they ruled in secrecy. Okay, the true agenda behind their rulership. This BS about love, liberty, and the pursuit of freedom and all this madness, these little monsters they had. No, this man ruled. All right, as a Satanist, man. This is a Satanist that rules the earth. Okay, all these little cute sayings and you know, all men are created equal and all. No, man. This man rulership is not based off no equality, man. Okay, you see, and then we thought it was just white supremacy. No, it's Edomite supremacy with mainly Amalek supremacy, man. Okay, to where it's only a few elite amongst Edomites. Okay, that have some type of equality in this system, man. Okay, but the way this man runs the earth, what he's done, what he's doing, what he plans on doing, it's all out in the open, man. Okay, and these attempts to pull off this new world order, all these things are out in the open, man. To the point to where it's done caught up to him to the point where as he's doing it, it's being reported on. All right, and this is why he wants to put so much censorship on the internet. Because now as he's doing these things, he's being reported on, man. Okay, so keep reading. It says all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that are at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him, man. Okay, and America's closest allies is what? The EU. Okay, and what this wickedness, okay. All right, you go here because you go into the wickedness of Esau because Esau is so ambitious, that they can't never have no peaceful kingdom because they're too treacherous, even towards each other, even the man. Okay, everybody wants to be the man amongst Esau, and that's why you have that spirit heavy in the world, especially here in America, man. Okay, well let's go here, then we get there in Revelation 17. Okay, well let's go here to show you, the political divide, amongst these EU nations. Okay, let me see, is it this one? Might be this. Okay, because America's, it came out of, Britain. Okay, which America was prophesied to be that little horn that would, overcome. Okay, those other three horns, which was the Spanish, the British, okay, and the French. The America became the dominant, Edomite government in the earth. Even though the finances still, run through Britain, through London. Okay, but politically, okay, militarily, all right, America, has far surpassed, those three governments of the British, French, and uh, uh, Spanish. Okay, and what has happened, the scriptures say, America, will become more stout than its fellows. Okay, which when you read, let's go here. This is how America foreign policy has negatively affected the EU from an EU perspective. Okay, because America makes these unilateral decisions. Okay, and it harms the EU. You know, most of EU suffering comes from American foreign policy. Okay, and it's creating, the atmosphere of, these EU nations, even some of them, so are becoming, pro-Russian. Okay, and there's this war in Ukraine, continues, and Russia eventually, if they start to invade Europe, you see, and America's not going to be able to help or aid them. Okay, because America got to help these small hats. You got that, the situation with Iran that's, that's brewing. Okay, then America trying to go to war with every goddamn body. Okay, so as America is stretched thin, all right, it's gonna get to the point to where these EU nations gonna be like, man, the hell with America, man. You know, they're the root cause of all the problems. Okay, it says so. Many EU policymakers argue that certain U.S. foreign policy choices have created strain or negative effects on Europe. This usually falls into five categories: a disruption from U.S. military interventions. It says U.S. interventions in the Middle East and North Africa, Iraq, 2003, Libya, 2011, was also partly a UK-France initiative created refugees that mainly reach European shores, regional instability, increasing terrorism risk in Europe, cost of EU border protection, humanitarian aid, and integration. You know, so a lot of these American, all right, campaigns in the Middle East and Northern Africa cause, refuge to flow into, all right, these EU nations. So they got to deal with, the blowback of American foreign policy, man. Okay, and a lot of those wars in the Middle East, all right, was because the small hats, was sick America, okay, on these different nations, okay, in the Middle East. Even going to Iraq, the small hats play a major part. And America has been this guard dog, for these small hats in their region. And these EU nations, they have to deal with the actual blowback, okay, from these wars, man. You know, like someone coming to your house, okay, and making a complete mess and just leaving. Okay, you have to clean it up and they come back and do the same thing. Okay, so let's keep reading. But the hell with all them devils, it's good that they falling out. All right, we're just commentating. All right, this sanctions policy and economic blowback. Sanctions on Iran, Russia, and others often originate in Washington. EU sometimes comply even when it harms them economically. Loss of energy imports, Russia gas after 2022, reduced trade access, Iran and Cuba, secondary sanctions that limit EU companies' freedom of action, man. So the European, because it makes more sense because they're over there in their region of the earth, okay, Europe and Asia, okay, our neighboring continents. Okay, so it makes sense to have, trade deals and, to have access to particular markets. Okay, that will help, those EU EU companies, man. Okay, it says the biggest example was U.S. withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal, which forced European firms to abandon profitable Iranian markets, man. And this happened under Trump. I see Trump first presidency, it isolated America a lot. Trump did a lot during his first term to isolate America, man. And pissed off a lot of these EU nations because you had those European leaders before Trump pulled out the deal. They flew over to America, man, to beg this man not to do that. Okay, because Iran, all right, was profitable to the EU. You know, so when they had to abandon those Iranian markets, that was a hit, to their economy, man. It said NATO policy asymmetry. Okay, it says U.S. states often feel the U.S. drives secretary agendas more than Europe does. Pressure to increase on defense spending on U.S. terms, limited autonomy in foreign policy, especially toward Russia and China. Okay, so the EU, is a shadow of what it used to be. You hear this term paper tiger. Well, the EU has become a paper tiger. Okay, it's a symbol of strength, but going back into the toes, the 10 toes, partly iron and partly clay. It has more of a symbolic strength than actual strength. Most of the strength is with EU, I mean with America, and a handful of those other EU nations. But ultimately has become just a symbol of power. Okay, and the way America going is constantly crumbling. Okay, so eventually these EU nations, okay, they're gonna attack America, man. Okay, they're going to join the other side. These nations that have gathered onto Russia. Well, EU is going to join their side and they're gonna wipe America off the map. You know, let me see. See if I can find it real quick. Policies during Trump first term. They isolated. Let's see. Isolated America and hindered. All right. Let's see there. EU nations. All right, so you go into it. All right. It says what the U.S. did. It said Trump withdrew from the JCPOA and reinstated harsh sanctions on Iran, including secondary sanctions targeting foreign companies. How it harmed the EU. Said EU nation Germany, France, and UK. Uh, it says EU nation Germany, France, UK remain committed to the deal, okay, and saw the U.S. withdrawal as a unilateral move that undermined diplomacy. European companies Airbus, Total, Siemens were forced to abandon billions, okay, in deals with Iran to avoid U.S. penalties. Increase, all right, tensions in the Middle East raise oil prices and security risk for Europe. Undermine the EU or U.S. unity on arms control and destabilize regional relations. Widely considered the biggest trade error, okay, foreign policy decision that placed the EU in a difficult decision. Okay, trade war and tariffs on EU goods. What the U.S. did, Trump imposed 25% tariffs on European steel, 10% tariffs on European aluminum, threatened 25% auto tariffs, a direct threat to Germany's and Italy's manufacturing sectors. Damage, okay, German automotive export hurt European metal producers, created uncertainty in EU markets and supply chain, triggered EU retaliatory tariffs, escalating tensions, undermined transatlantic trade relation. Okay, so it's just a lot, that America has been. Remember his first term, he was doing all this. He came back on that same shit, on that same, proud, okay, handling the EU any type of way. He came back on that same tip, man. Okay, but what is it going to lead to, man? All right, it's going to lead to these EU nations, all right, joining Russia and turning this bitch to a desert. Okay, cleaning this bitch out. Okay, so let's so like let's go here to Revelation. All right, this is Revelation. All right, 17. All right, I'm gonna read 17 and jump to 16. This is matter of fact, I'm gonna read 18 and go backwards. Okay, it says in the woman, because the scriptures, this chapter in Revelation speak about the whore that rideth the beast. Okay, it says in the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay, and there was America. Okay, the whore that ride the beast. She was, all right. She was dominant. All right, she controlled. Okay, the she controlled. Okay, this beast system. All right, American foreign policy controlled. Okay, this beast system. Okay, because the miracle. All right, were owned by who? The elites. Okay, and they used America. All right, to run. Okay, policy. All right, foreign policy for this beast system. Okay, she reigned over, these EU nations as vassals. Okay, and she had all these other nations subjugated unto this government, man, economically and militarily. Okay, so therefore, the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. Yeah, so these nations, all right, these EU nations, they gave, okay, away sovereignty, for the forwarding of this beast system. Okay, I say they let America, all right, run quarterback. Okay, so they gave in to the will, okay, of American foreign policy. Man, you see, they subjugated to how America was moving, and it was fulfilling the will of the Most High, because the Lord wanted, all right, the EU to become frustrated with America, man. Okay, to fulfill, all right, the will, okay, of America being destroyed. Okay, that's why you get the verse 16 and the 10 horns, all right, those 10 vassals, EU nations, which thou sawest upon the beast. These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Okay, so this is where we at. Okay, we at the point now to where, things are just escalate, with this third world war. Okay, and when this thing goes nuclear, all right, these American vessels, okay, these EU nations are going to burn this whole fire. Okay, which is fulfillment of prophecy, man. Okay, so no, man, Esau Edom ain't nothing dealing with salvation in this nigga future, man. Okay, nobody of the Edomite bloodline, man. Okay, so reading on verse 8, it says, "Shall I not in that day, said the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, all right, and the understanding out of the mountain of Esau, man?" Because you look at what this man is trying to do, it's tacky. He's gotten tacky, and it's stupid. You know, what this man is trying to pull off is really extremely stupid. Okay, that this man is even trying to pull this off. Okay, and the way that he's going about it, he's just throwing it together. What he's trying to do is a hell of a lot, man. Okay, and he be capping like he got it together, and he, on point, and he just a step or two away from this, man. This shit is sloppy, man. Like, really following this man lately and seeing what all he got to try to pull off, to get this done. This man, all right, he's not moving as a wise man. Anyone with wisdom would say, okay, this ain't what I done bit off too much. But nah, the Lord got this man hard to keep going. You know, and he just becoming more reckless, more tacky. All right, and that wisdom, that the Lord allowed him to run the earth with is fading from him, man. Okay, because he's getting ready to bring him down. It says, "And the mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed." Okay, which Teman, represents what their wisdom, their think tanks, these Germans. All right, but Teman, is the wise men of Edom. Most of his engineers and scientists go back, to Teman. It says, "To the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, that every one, okay, of the mount of Esau, man, shall be cut off by slaughter." Okay, so this government is going to get beheaded, man. Okay, Esau will have no power structure left in the earth after this third world war. Okay, he's going into captivity, and eventually he's going to be cut off. Whole house of Edom, which is going to get into it. Now it goes back into some history when you go Obadiah 1 to 10. "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gate, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them." Okay, so this is going back into the devils aiding, all right, the Babylonians taking us down, and that's recorded. You see, we're gonna get some history on a few things. Obadiah 1 and 2 says, "But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction, neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly, okay, in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yeah, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that remain in the day of distress, man. Okay, so when the Babylonians was taking us down, it was Esau, Edom, okay, they were there to aid and to take advantage. He helped root the temple, and even the Esdras, all right, it says that the Edomites were the one that took the temple down, that actually took it down. Okay, they looted what the Babylonians left. They was helping, the Babylonians, capture Jake that was trying to flee. Okay, just a demon, just an asshole, man. It was already enough, and the Lord put the Babylonians on their ass, man. But he took that opportunity, okay, to make himself guilty because the Babylonians they was ordained to, take Jake down. Southern Kingdom was tripping, okay. But Esau, he just saw it as an opportunity to get off, man. Okay, damn devil. All right, and the Lord is holding him accountable for that. All right, so that's why. Let's go here. Go into a little bit of their history, going into that. All right, you go to let's see. Yep, it said role that the Edomites played. All right, toward helping the Babylonians during the siege of Jerusalem. Jerusalem. All right, so the Edomites are portrayed, especially in the Bible. All right, in latter Israelite traditions, having supported or taken advantage of the Babylonian siege and destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. The historical evidence comes from several sources, mainly the Hebrew Bible, which gives strong condemnation of Edom's conduct. Here's a clear overview, okay, of their role. All right, so you read into it. It said supporting the Babylonians. All right, passive or active collaboration. Several biblical texts accuse Edom of assisting the Babylonians or rejoicing in Judah's all right downfall. All right, we just read Obadiah 10 and 14. Okay, Obadiah gives the strongest indictment. It accuses Edom of gloating over Judah's destruction, looting Jerusalem after the Babylonians breached it, capturing and handing over fleeing Judeans. You stood at the crossroads to cut down their fugitives. Okay, so he cut off particular roads that Jake couldn't escape. You know, it says failing to help their brother Jacob. Obadiah's language implies that Edom acted like an ally or opportunistic partner of Babylonia. Okay, Psalms 137 and 7. Remember, O Lord, what the Edomites did, who said, tear it down to the foundations, man. All right, goddamn cheerleaders, man. Okay, this suggests the Edomites encouraged Babylonians' destruction of the temple. All right, Lamentations 4:21 and 22. This poem mocks Edom for celebrating Judah's fall, again implying complicity, all right, or at least joyful approval. Outside the Bible, I think that's it. Okay, now went to here also with biblical accounts when Edomites Amalek did harm or treated Israel harshly. Okay, so it says Edomites opposing or harming Israel said refusal to let Israel pass through. You go to the book of Numbers 20:14 through 21. It says Israel requested peaceful passage through Edom on the Exodus route. Edom refused and came out with a large army to block them. This marks the first major, all right, recorded hostility. Okay, hostility during the reigns of Saul and David. Saul fought Edom. Saul waged wars against surrounding enemies, including Edom. Edomites subdued and then rebelled against David. David defeated Edom and placed garrisons there. Hadad, the Edomite, later returned from Egypt to become a persistent adversary, okay, of Solomon. Edomite revolt against Judah, 2 Kings 8:20 through 22. Under King Jehoram of Judah, Edom rebelled successively, establishing their own king and breaking free from the Judite control, which that goes into Genesis 27. How Esau would eventually, get the yoke from his brother off of him. He did that during this time, and he did it during the Renaissance. When he was able to, reestablish, empires in the earth after the Renaissance. And he did it during this time of Second Kings 8:22. Okay, you get Second Kings chapter 8 verses 20 through 22. All right, and we can read that real quick just to get that precept of what you do. All right, so let's go there. I think this is Genesis. Let's get that in Genesis. This is the book of Genesis. Oh, it's 27, 27, 25. Real quick, just to get that history. Genesis 27 and 37. Uh, I started at 39. It says Genesis 27 and 39. This is when Esau received his blessing. Okay, which his blessing is temporal compared to the eternal blessing that was given to Jacob. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Okay? So this devil, he was able to break away, and establish his own thing, during King Jehoram, okay, and Second Kings, and also during the Renaissance, the devil was allowed, the scripture say he shall be loose, to go deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, okay. And when he did this during the Renaissance, this when he came into a fulfillment of the blessing given to him by Isaac with the sword, okay. So yeah, just going back to this. Let's go here. Um, all right, so we had it was the Edomites invading Judah. All right, during the reign of Ahaz, Edomite raiders invaded Judah, capturing captives and plundering. Edomite caught during the Babylonian attacks. All right, on Jerusalem, which we just went into that. You know, uh, Amalek opposing or harming Israel, assault on Israel after the Exodus, Exodus 17th chapter. The first nation to attack Israel after leaving Egypt, Amalek. Okay, that's why the scripture say what? Because it's the same chapter, and once the Lord say He will have war. Okay, from generation to generation with Amalek, as it says, Moses, Aaron, Hur, and Joshua fight them at Rephidim. The Most High declares perpetual war against Amalek. Okay, it says Amalek cowardly attacks. All right, cowardly attack on the weak. Deuteronomy 25:17. Amalek attacked from the rear, targeting the weak, weary, and stragglers, seen as particularly treacherous and dishonorable, man. Okay, and it's just more raised by Amalek on. You see, he's goddamn devil, man. You see, there's always been, uh, back and forth. Okay, and today everything is going to come full circle, man. And Yahweh Shai is not going to meet this devil as a man. Okay, he's going to uproot his kingdom. Okay, he'll never have a kingdom in the earth anymore. He's going to go into captivity. Okay, and be done away with, man. Okay, that's what's in the cards for Esau. All right, so let's go back to Obadiah. All right, chapter 1. Okay, Obadiah 1 and 15 said, "For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen." Okay, because this is a judgment for all you heathen. Esau was just at the forefront of the judgment. Okay, but this is going to be a judgment for all you heathen. Because you heathens going to get your rocks off on America. Okay, but then Yahweh Shai is coming to clean all y'all out, man. Okay, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall be upon thy own head. Y'all going into captivity because y'all aided this system. That kept us slaves, man. You heathens, you aided. Okay, this Edomite system that kept us slaves, man. Okay, and that's why you had this in Jeremiah 30 and 16. All right, and when them Genesis niggas first started going into all nations can make it, they gonna bring this precept out, to try to lighten the blow. Okay, just because you brought this precept out, that doesn't mean that this is null and void. This gonna happen. Okay, it say what it say. Okay, because this is one of the first precepts that they brought out when they started going into that madness of all nations can be saved, man. Because they knew they don't got no answer for this, man. Okay, Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries. Okay, because all these nations assist Esau in this system which keeps Israel as the tail, man. All these nations are complicit. The elites of these nations, the elite, all right, the elite families of these heathen nations, they know who we are, and they all in agreement with this system of keeping us as the tail. Okay, all of them, man. You see, and all their people is going to go into captivity behind it. You see, it says, "And all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be as a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey, man." Okay, and then on the flip side is the Lord is judging them, okay, through war, all right, and enslaving the rest. What He's going to do for His people. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, the wounds of this system. Okay, and these heathens have been complicit with this devil Esau in this system, man. Said the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, "This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after." Okay, which means none of these heathens don't give a damn about us being restored in any type of country. Okay, and they're all going to go into captivity for that. Okay, every last one of them. All right, not one straight heathen is going to escape captivity, man. Okay, even the ones that are judged during this time, guess what? They're going to be born in captivity, just like we were born into captivity, man. We serve a just power, man. Okay, now what them niggas talking about, man? Okay, this is Obadiah chapter 1. Okay, in verse 16 it says, "For as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been." Yeah, because after this third world war, man, hey, you heathens, it's gonna be because see these heathens have this whole setup under Esau, and they've been able to enjoy the perks of us, being the tail in this system, man. Okay, so these heathens, all of them have their little setup. India, like we went into it, the other day. India got their little digital system, and China got their little digital system, and everybody think they just finna, mosey on to this new world order. Nah, man, y'all finna go into captivity. And this little setup that you got is gonna be like India was never, okay, a major government in the earth. It's gonna be like China was never a major government in the earth, man. Okay, Russia, which are Edomites, it's gonna be like they was never a major government. The EU, America, okay, they're just going into captivity, and it's gonna be the world of Israel forever, man. No, it's gonna be like these heathens have never been in power, man. Beginning with Esau, it said, "But upon," matter of fact, you get that in Isaiah 65. All right, Isaiah 65. All right, there's the book of Isaiah 65 and 17. It said, "For behold, I create a new heavens and a new earth, a new rulership, okay, and a refreshed earth." Because these nukes are going to cleanse the filth that Esau, okay, has left in the earth, man. A lot of the filth, trash, and excess pollution in the air, these things are going to be, okay, cleansed through fire, man. These mushroom clouds, all these things are going to be a cleansing agent in the earth as well. And the former shall not be remembered nor come to mind, man. So this foreign world, this former world order with Esau, then these heathens is vassals under Esau, and they little setups and this and that, it's gonna be destroyed, man. Okay, Mecca and the Dubai and all that. No, man, it's over. Okay, they ain't even gonna come to mind. All right, it's gonna be time for everybody to get to work. Okay, Obadiah 1 and Obadiah 1 and 18. Okay, I'm starting at 17. I'm ready to get to 18, but Obadiah 1 and 17. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. Okay, upon Mount Zion, as one people, man, shall be deliverance. Okay, and that's Yahweh Shai, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall, all right, possess their possessions. Because we're gonna possess the earth. Okay, get real quick in Psalms, man. You know, the book of Psalms, chapter 2, all right, in verse 7 and 8, it says, said unto me, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. All right, we're gonna possess the earth. Okay, ain't gonna be no more India, China, Shanghai, Australia. Okay, Yahweh Shai. All right, he's gonna divide the earth amongst his brethren. All right, those first fruits, the rest of the 1/3 men gonna have their portions. Okay, and our families, women and children, okay, are gonna enjoy abundance forever, man. Okay, the Israelites, man, gonna be one ruling family and the rest slaves and servants, man. Okay, let's go back here to Obadiah. Niggas are stupid. Okay, um, yep, verse 18. It says, "In the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame." All right, northern and southern kingdom. "In the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau." And the Lord, all right, for the Lord have spoken it, man. There shall not be any remaining of the house or the lineage, okay, of Esau. The Lord have spoken it. He's out of here. Okay, he's done. He's judged. Okay, that's gonna be it. There ain't gonna be no straight Edomites. Okay, to stop eating pork. Okay, before the missiles hit, that's gonna be skipping around the earth, man. Nah, man, there will be no such thing as an Edomite after this, man. He's gonna be exterminated out the earth. Let's get this in Job, and we'll get ready to close out, man. Okay, that's not. How do you get salvation out of it, man? How the hell can you get salvation out of that? Okay, this book of Job, chapter 18. All right, in verse 17, it says, "His remembrance shall perish from the earth." Okay, somebody got to play this part, man. This ain't salvation, ain't included in this. His remembrance, speaking about the whole lineage of Esau. If there's one Edomite, then his remembrance can't perish. If there's one Edomite in the earth continually, okay, the token Edomite, like they have token Jake in certain movies, the token Edomite in the kingdom, well, his remembrance can never perish, man. Nah, man, he's gonna be out of there, man. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street, no reputation. Okay, he's gonna be a forgotten. Okay, he shall be driven from light to into darkness. Okay, because right now he's on center stage. Okay, he's been in the spotlight within his kingdom. Okay, but he's going to be driven into darkness. Okay, which is captivity. He's not going to be on the forefront in the kingdom. The Edomite is going to be, we're not going to be seeing Edomites every day, man. You know, they just going to be working. We're gonna see their results. Okay, I can go without seeing the Edomite as long as I can know that nigga is working. I get a report on this nigga every now and then. I see the results of his works. These precious stones that he's mining and gold and all the things that he's mining, and just like the Edomites, you don't see the top Edomite. They look at you by your numbers, man. Okay, these certain Edomites at these corporations, they looking at you. They know you exist because of the results you produce. Okay, how it's gonna be in the kingdom, man? Man gonna be pushed way to the back. Okay, from the spotlight to no light, man. Okay, and chased out of the world. Okay, they're gonna be chased out of the world, literally, man. Okay, exterminated. He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwelling. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, and they, all right, that went before him were affrighted. Surely such are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him that knoweth not the Most High, man. That's his future, man. Okay, that's what's promised to eat. Okay, that's his story. Okay. Obadiah 1 and 19, it says, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, which that's Judah. Okay, because Judah was the most southern part of Israel, the land of Judah, right before you get to the land of Edom, back in the ancient world. And they of the plain of the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. This is us getting the land back, man. And Benjamin shall possess Gilead. So it's us getting our inheritance back. Okay? And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shapar, shall possess the cities of the south, and saviors. All right, and this is us getting all our land back, man. Okay, this is us getting our original promised land back in this fullness, man. And us having inheritance. Okay, and establishing the kingdom and expanding throughout the earth, and eventually throughout galaxies, man. Okay, forever. Okay. Obadiah 1 and 21, and saviors shall come upon Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's, Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai's, man. So after the judgment of Esau, okay, we're going to be reestablished, okay, as the superpower on the earth forever. Okay, and you're going to have Yahweh Shai, the first fruits, and we're going to be gods in the earth, man. Okay, our people will never come into harm again, man. Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to be there. Okay, I say the first fruit, the men of Israel is going to be, hey, we're going to have our strength, our power back, man. Okay, Esau is going into captivity. Okay, and he's going to be done away with, man. Okay, so that's the point. Just want to get into their Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edify once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutation to the whole elect Shalom.